We're going to replace the sunroof seal in this 2008 GMC Yukon. It's going to be pretty much the same process for any 07 to 14, and maybe similar for some older and newer ones as well. But we're going to dig into this thing, replace the seal that goes around the sunroof glass, and I'm going to show you the procedure for that. It really isn't too bad. You can do it with some very basic tools. I'll put the part number in the description, and you should already have the tools for this one because it's not too bad. Let's go ahead and take a look inside the truck, and I'll show you where to start. Alright, I'm still sitting in the driver's seat of the truck. We're looking up here towards the top. Again, this is the left side. And you can see this is how the sunroof looks when it's closed. You have this bellows here, or guard, whatever you want to call it. That is on the driver's side. What we want to do is, I'll go ahead and move this thing into the up position so we can get better access to it, because I want to show you what it looks like with this off. This is the very first thing we've got to take off. Let me go ahead and show you the passenger side. I've removed that one, and this is how it looks with the sunroof in the popped up position. So we have one screw there and one screw there. Those are T25 Torx. Like I said, you probably already have these. You can get them at any local auto parts store, but if you want to order them, I'll put a link in the description. You can get them on Amazon as well. You can use a ratchet, you can use all kinds of different things, a bit driver, to get those out. Now, as far as actually removing them, you can do it with the sunroof popped up like this, or you can do it in the down position. But the first thing we've got to do is remove that bellows. So let me show you that. Alright, so we're looking back at the driver's side now that still has this bellows on here. All we have to do is pull outwards this direction on the front and the rear. We're going to start with the rear here. I'm just putting my finger in behind it. I'm going to start at the bottom, then I'll pull the top one out, then I can move over to the front, pull the top out of there, and pull the bottom out. So the only part that may give you trouble is really going to be up here towards the front. There's this little tab here that goes into that little channel. You don't want to pull up or down or anything, just straight out. There are some little clips, 1, 2, 3 here on the bottom, and then 1, 2 here on the top, followed by this channel. So this channel piece here goes into a black small piece of metal here, and then the bottom piece goes into the the aluminum down there. So now we've got both sides out. We can go ahead and get our Torx tool and start removing these screws. So I'm going to use this right here. This is just a bit driver with an extension. We're not going to worry right now about spacing because you can and should be setting the height of the sunroof on final installation. We're going to worry about that later, and I'll show you the procedure for that. So right now we're just going to get these screws out. There's a lot of grease in here. It is going to get on you most likely, so just make sure you wipe your hands off. Have a rag ready, so when you're ready to remove the sunroof, you're not getting this goo all over the glass and then having to clean it, because it is tinted, so you're not going to want to use chemicals on it. These two screws are pretty short. There are both of them right there. They do require blue Loctite. So the Loctite looks pretty weak on these. I'm betting the sunroof has been off before, and maybe that's why we have a leak. I think it was improperly adjusted from the very beginning. So I'm going to remove the other two, and then we'll go from there. Okay, next we're just going to pop the sunroof up, and it needs to come out the top. You can use a cloth or something on the inside if you want. If your fingers are dirty or greasy or whatever, you can just stick a glove on. But anyway, we're just going to pop the sunroof up like this. Then we can get a better grab on it once it's out of place. So I'm going to bring this thing completely down. Get it to a more workable area. Now that the sunroof is off, this is a really good time to go ahead and clean the drains out. So there's a drain hole right inside there. There you go in that top corner. See that little hole? All kinds of dust and dirt and crap gets stuck down inside there. And what will happen is, especially if this big seal is bad, water will slowly get past that, which isn't the end of the world, but it settles down in this channel. And so you have these drains up here in the front. There's one here, there's one in that corner over there, and they'll get clogged full of stuff. And then this whole tray will get full and water will start to leak past in there. That's typically what will happen when the seal goes bad, and that's when you'll know it's bad. Because when the seal goes bad, it doesn't just directly start dripping into the truck. It goes into this tray or the sub-assembly first. You'll see it in the headliner getting wet and stuff like that. So make sure you clean those out. You can do it at any time, of course. You don't have to be taking the sunroof out completely to do that. But make sure you do that. You can do it with a coat hanger or baling wire, or you can also use compressed air. All three of those methods, just be really careful because you can damage a little tube in any of those ways. If you just shoot compressed air in there, you could actually blow the tube off, and then you got to pull the headliner and all kinds of other stuff. So if you do that, just be really careful when you blow those little tubes out. Okay, so you can see I've got this edge pulled up right here. It'd be great if you could use a plastic tool instead of this screwdriver, but you want something very smooth. So I'm just kind of illustrating like a smooth screwdriver with no serrations, but ideally you'll use a trim tool, plastic trim tool. You can get a whole set of trim tools on Amazon. They're very affordable and they are an excellent, excellent tool to use for something like this. So let me grab one of those. Then we can get started. Here is a really good one right here. It just has flat, skinny sides to it. This is going to work very well. I guess I can put a link to these as well. But anyway, you're going to want to start from around the edge down inside here. You'll be able to pull on it and kind of see what is seal and what is the frame. But take a good look inside there. You can see this is the channel that the bottom of the seal is going to ride in. So there's a channel right down inside there. And we just want to go around and pry it up with this tool all the way around. So once you get one started, you can set the tool in and just kind of run it along the edges of the sunroof there. I'm just wearing gloves so I don't get smudges all over the glass. You definitely don't have to wear gloves for this. And we're just going to pull this thing all around the edges. There's only one thing to really take note of, and that's going to be the seam of the seal. So for example, the seam of my seal is right there, which would be towards the rear of the car. So if you want to, go ahead and grab you a Sharpie or something like that, and you can just mark the frame right there. That way you know what edge to stick it back on. Oh, also, depending on where you get your seal from, if you get it from GM, which you should, the four corners should be marked. Sometimes they'll be yellow, sometimes they'll be green. I think I've seen light blue. Alright, so now our seal is completely removed. We can go ahead and grab the new one and start getting it fitted. So the new one is not going to have radius or like pre-fit or formed corners. You're going to have to make those yourself as you're pushing the new seal on. Alright, so we have our new seal here. Make sure there's no dust or debris or anything like that on it that's going to cause damage to it when it's going on. And then we want to find our seam, which I see right here. We'll flip our seam around. Then we can start working the new seal on. And I'm going to have to sit down for this one and probably put this window in my lap. But once I get it started, I'll show you guys what angles to kind of get it on there. And we're going to work the thing around the glass. Okay, this may be a little bit difficult to illustrate, but I'm going to do my best. So you can see this piece already here is already started. So let me go ahead and remove that so you can see how it's going to go on. But that's how it should start looking. Also, to know your sunroof seal is in the right direction, well, it'll only go on one way, but you need the seal vent. This little cut right here to be on the bottom. So what you want to do is grab the sunroof seal, use your back fingers here like this, and you're going to push it forward towards the glass with the channel, the open face, facing you. You're going to push it towards yourself and down. So you're kind of pushing this way with a lot of force and then wrapping around, and it should sort of click over the top. It definitely isn't a click. It's not auditory or anything like that, but you can feel it settling in place. So just keep working your way down the sides. with that kind of rocking motion and setting the seal in place. Now the seal should look nice and uniform when it's in its track right here, so you'll know you're doing it the right way. Let me bring the camera in and I'll zoom in on this part right here. Alright, so you can see here, all this section is properly in the groove. This is the new piece here. And we're just bringing it in and putting pressure on it and wrapping it around till it sets in place. I'm not going to video this whole thing because this is pretty time consuming. This is going to take most of the time of the entire job, besides setting the end gap when we get the sunroof in the vehicle. So like I said, I'm not going to video this, or I may roll it in and fast forward it maybe. As you're getting your seal on, you may have little pieces like this where the seal is kind of folded in under itself. What you want to do is take your trim tool and very easily work it in one edge, and then slowly go around here and just work those pieces out. You don't want to do it too fast because you can rip the seal if it's folded under there really well. But anyway, just like this, slowly go around the whole thing wherever your folded edges are and bring them out. Sometimes you may have to go from a different side if you have one that's kind of stubborn and it feels like it may rip. Like right there, it popped out. So I tried the other side. There we go, and we got that out. So just go around your edges until you get all those pieces out. Now the top part, or the last section, is going to be the most difficult piece. So I'm down to that right now. And really all it comes down to is some extra hand strength. I will tell you, it is kind of difficult to do this, especially when you get to these corners. You're really going to have to pull up to get this thing around here. So I'm going to finish up this back side of just stretching this seal on there, starting from the top and working my way around. But yeah, the last two corners that you do are going to be the hardest part. It's going to take a good bit of hand strength to kind of get these in there. Just make sure you are careful with your edges. You're not rolling your edges over. Take your time here. It is gonna take you a bit to get this on. I've got the new seal installed on the glass. Now we've just got to get it set in place, and then after that we can set our spacing. So this is going to be nice if you have two people, but oftentimes you won't. So we'll go ahead and just show you how to set this in place as it is. So there are two tabs on either side of the glass. Those are the tabs that you remove the screws from. What you're going to do is you're going to set in one side of the tabs, just like this. Set it down so you can see the bolt holes where you remove those two T25 pieces of hardware from. As you lower it down, you're going to want to support the inside and just slowly lower it into place. So it's not going to be perfectly set where it needs to be. At this point, we're going to go inside, put the screws back in, and just kind of get them snugged up. And then we're going to go about setting the actual height and the pitch of the sunroof. The pitch is very important. It's a step that you don't want to overlook. So we're now back inside the truck, obviously, and we need to go ahead and start our screws. So you see we have that one tab there, and then our other one right here. Put a very small amount of Loctite on the threads of these, and then we're going to have to push the sunroof up a bit just so we can get them started. And it's up to you how you want to set this for the first time. We're going to have to go back in there and adjust it anyway. So just get the screws started, then we'll set our final adjustment. And you don't want to get these super tight, just get them hand tight, and make sure you can make height adjustments to the sunroof by hand. So just barely get those tight enough just so where the washers are holding the sunroof, and you can move it if you wanted to. Let me stick the other side in, and then I'll show you how to measure the sunroof height and pitch. Now we need to close the sunroof. So I'm going to get back in. I'm going to drop it down in the closed position. the sunroof is fully closed, then the work of setting the height and pitch can begin. And what we want to do is we actually want to have the rear of the sunroof a tiny bit higher than the front of the sunroof. And what that's going to do is any water that accumulates on top, if it does make it past this seal, it's going to go in the front and go to these drain holes, not drop in the back, and potentially, due to the way you park, go somewhere you don't want it to go. So the pitch is more of a safety precaution. If the seal leaks, we're going to set the heights of this thing. And I was going to put a picture of the all data, but I don't think it'll be nearly as useful as me just telling it to you. So what we want to do is to set the actual height, you're going to use a caliper if possible. If not, you're going to kind of be guessing, and it just is what it is. We need the rear of the sunroof, the top, to be 40 thousandths above the roof. In the front, we want the sunroof top right here to be 40 thousandths below the roof. So the first thing you want to do, if you're using a caliper, which hopefully you have the ability to do so, is you want to measure from the seal to the glass and take that measurement. And then in my case, that was 0.062. Well, you want to add 40 thousandths to that. This specific caliper that I have, I can't span from the roof to the glass. I can only measure from the roof to the seal. So I took the height of the seal, which was 0.62. I just added 40 thousandths to that. So my total number is 1.02. So for the rear, we're going to push this up, and I'm going to measure from the roof to the seal. So let me go ahead and move the camera so you can see what that looks like. All right, please bear with me. This is kind of hard to do by myself with the camera angles. But what we're doing is we're measuring from the roof here to the top of the seal. So I'm going to place this here, this little nub on the roof. Then I'm going to use my other hand to push up from the inside. And I'm going to push up the sunroof until the seal contacts this edge here. That's going to set our spacing. So before I told you we measured from the glass to the seal, and then we have to add that number to our 40 thousandths. Your number may be different, so don't just go by what mine is here. But anyway, so we're going to set back here to that number. We'll do both sides, and then we'll set the front. This would be a good time to have two people if possible, because one person can set the height here, and then the other person can tighten down that screw. So this is where it's going to come in. It's very important to go ahead and get these screws in here just hand snug so that when you move them, it doesn't fall back down. You may have to play with it a bit to get it just right. Now I'm going to go inside and barely tighten this driver rear corner a little bit more. Okay, I don't want it too tight because then I won't be able to push the sunroof up and down as needed. I'm going to go ahead and move to the other side. I'm going to do that corner. And then our fronts, we're going to do the measurement sunken down a little bit so we get that proper pitch. Okay, so I've got this rag here just to kind of help with the glare a little bit. But I have both of my rear screws set. They're not to their final torque, but they're just tight enough to where altering the front here won't wiggle them around. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our first measurement, which was the thickness of the seal in relation to, the added height of the seal in relation to the glass, which was 0.62. We're going to subtract 40 thousandths from that. So we're going to go down to 0.022. Let me mark that here. All right. And now we can take that measurement from here. So what we're going to do is now we're going to place the outside base of the caliper on the roof, and we're going to push up on the sunroof inside here just until it contacts the nub on the bottom of the caliper. You may have to move your caliper around left and right. To get that perfect. Okay, so we've got that spacing set. So I'm going to go ahead, go inside there and tighten it up. And then we've only got one left. Let me go ahead and bring the camera down so you can see what the difference looks like actually on the sunroof. Okay, here is the front. You can see how the sunroof is actually down a little bit compared to the roof. And then here is the back. I don't know if you can quite tell, but it's actually poking above the roof line quite a lot more. So now we just have to do that passenger side front. We can go inside for final torque and putting those covers back on. Our next to last step is going to be torquing these 4 screws, and these are going to be 35 inch-pounds. If you don't have a torque wrench or you don't have one that goes down that low, it's really not the end of the world. Just don't over torque them, and as long as you have Loctite in there, you won't have to worry about it. So that is not very much at all. Just 35 inch-pounds and some Loctite. Okay, and then once we get these on all 4 corners, we can stick the bellows on. You may want to install the bellows with the sunroof in the down position, so I'll go ahead and show you that. It isn't hard, but it is a little bit different than doing it in the up position. So the first thing that's important is this little tab here is going to need to go in a little forked section right there. So I'm going to push it up into that position. Okay, and then I'm going to guide the lower piece in next, all the way down. Then we'll have the upper piece. You'll push it up pretty much all the way against the glass and then forward. And that's all you've got to do. So now I've got to repeat the process on the other side, but that is all there is to replacing the seal on your sunroof. Really not too hard. Just take your time, be careful with it, set out a block of time where you're not going to have to get distracted and worry about something else. You don't want to set the glass on something and have it slide off and break or something like that. I'll put a link in the description to the parts and also some of the tools that I use in the video, like those little plastic tools. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Thanks for watching.